hit the go button. All right, and here we go. Hello and welcome to Sonic Talk number 334, recording today live Wednesday the 16th of October 2013, and in fact I seem to have no video. That's good. Right, let me just fix that because for some reason I should be here. There we are. 2013. Thank you very much everybody for joining us. Today is Wednesday. Sorry, that just threw me. I'm still getting a little bit. Although I'm not supposed to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Just wanted to say that. So yes, today's episode is as ever brought to you by Isotope. I want to thank them very much for their continued sponsorship of the show, and we'll have a word from them a bit later on. You can check out Isotope RX3, which, as we know, is a fabulous piece of software. But now, in the meantime, we're going to go to our guests, and we'll start. I think we'll start with Rich Hilton over there in Connecticut, because Rich has actually been just told me that he may not be with us for a little while because you're off on the road again, right, Rich? Hello? I think you might be muted.
Indeed, yes. We resume the tour this weekend and we go to Ireland first.
Okay, so that's
great fun.
Rich, of course, is hanging on the road with Chic. When he's not on the road with Chic, he's with Nile Rodgers in the studio making hit records, waxing hotties, as we like to say. Here in the UK, and I believe that's possibly waxing a hottie. I think that comes back from the day of when they used to melt them onto wax cylinders, in case anyone was wondering. But I think it's also got a surf reference as well, hasn't it? It's sort of hot wax on your surfboard, which has nothing to do with making records whatsoever. But anyway, Rich, I want to say thank you for joining us in a roundabout way.
My pleasure.
And we'll head back over to this side of the Atlantic with Dave Spears, GeForce Software, who's over there in his synth cave in central southern England. I went to visit the other day and I had a blast. In fact, I played several of those units. My favourite of which being, is the Octave Kitten still? Octave Cat still in pride of place? You've mounted it, as it were.
I've just done a video on it.
Have you?
Yeah.
How can you resist?
Talk through, walk through, lots of my name noodling, and speech even, which quite entertaining actually. I was when we do these instrument bits, I always try and end it with a track that only uses that particular instrument.
All right.
This is the first time I shot in 1080 1920. So I've got, at the end of this video, I've got 9 layers of 1920 video, which is rendering now, and it's 2 hours.
Is that Final Cut Pro?
Only Final Cut Express for me, I'm afraid.
9 layers. I have to say, what on earth do you need 9 layers of video for?
Well, because each time I play a pass, I'd then record it.
I got you.
And then go.
So you're doing that kind of like Queen...
Absolutely.
Scaramouche kind of vibe. Excellent.
Yeah, except without the kind of kaleidoscope.
I can't wait.
Static shot.
I'm disappointed. I would expect at least one kaleidoscopic shot with that many layers of video. So we know.
We should do that in the 70s kind of style. That would be really cool.
I'm sure there must be a plug-in for that. Anyway, Dave Spears, thank you very much for joining us. And we're now heading over. We're zooming probably 150 miles or so straight to Gaz Williams by the mass magic of the internet, interwebs. Gaz Williams, who I'm reliably informed I've got your lower third wrong. It's now gazwilliams.me. So if you look at the top part and just add .me to that, then that's where you need to be looking. Gaz Williams, of course, professional bass player, music technologist, man about town, and how are you, Gaz?
I'm pretty cool. I'm pretty good. I'm speaking to you on a little headset mic today. I just thought that might be fun.
Call
my
center.
band Rocket Gold Star, the three of us, this side, we all used to use these back, I don't know, sort of 15, 13 years ago or something. 3-piece band, and we traipsed on stage all wearing headset mics, and we sort of did it just because we knew it upset people, and it really upset people.
Why?
People just
Why
did. I don't know. They just thought it was like boy band stuff, but we were playing like really weird, twisted music and doing sort of kind of odd things with our vocals. So, good
for you.
The problem with
pushing the envelope.
The drummer though, he used to have like sort of sinus problems, and he used to sort of make this really weird sort of lot of noises, so we say, and of course we'd be doing big gigs, and it'd just be this like background of sort of weird glottal snort. I didn't realise quite how loud it was until I was out front once, and I was thinking, and I asked, and they said, yeah, that happens all the way through all the gigs, so we stopped using them. But I dug it out of a cupboard the other day, and I thought, I still got them.
You still got it, Gaz. Fantastic. That's a great story. Starting as you mean to go on, I'd say. So, thank you very much. That's great. Well, I've got a treat for you, first of all. I'm just going to play this. But if you are perhaps of a nervous disposition or have a real averse reaction to bubblegum pop, then perhaps you should close your eyes now. Here it comes.
Don't play it.
Whoa! I better talk over this. This is Alison. This is bizarre, actually. This is the latest sort of viral video about Chinese food. I'm going to stop there because they'll probably bust me. That is Alison Gold. Bizarrely, just one more sort of extension away from a complete antithesis of what she's doing there. Pleasant enough young girl. Sort of mastermind of a chap called Patrice. Now, if I get this right, he's called. I had it right. Patrice Wilson, who was also basically responsible for the Rebecca Black Friday and all the other stuff. And, already it's got 4 or 5 million hits. In fact, I'm sure, Dave, when you sent me the link to this, because I'm going to basically call you out as the person who came up with it, it only had like 700,000. So I'm thinking that must have happened in the last couple of days.
That's me hitting refresh. I love pop. I just thought it would appeal to your pop sensibility. In fact, I'm amazed that it made it this far onto the show. I said to Chris, I'm just going to send this to Nick for a laugh, just to see if it gets anywhere, and it did. So I win.
Well,
lead topic.
It does lead to some interesting questions and perhaps, hopefully, some interesting discussion. But I mean, first of all, this guy obviously, he basically just took it and I don't know how you get that much kind of stuff. They've shot a video. He's inexplicably dressed as a panda. In fact, there's an article here on Metro, which is the UK's kind of free paper that you get with when you're on the tube station, the Tube in London. And it's just about his kind of pop genius. But I just thought it was funny, and then I suddenly realised, people are obviously going to hate this. In terms of artistic merit, it might not float your boat, and it must admit, even makes my lip curl a little bit. But the concept is, it's massively popular. I think you described it, Rich, as a kind of have we just reached the sort of nadir of what is achievable with pop? Could it get any cheesier? I think was what
I described this that way.
Sorry,
this particular.
No, sorry, Dave, not you, Dave.
I said basically the internet has peaked.
You think so? I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure all those cats playing pianos will disagree with you, and there'll probably be a hit there. But the one thing I did think about this when I first heard it, I was really impressed with the bottom end. Nicely kind of mastered, I must say. But very, very cheesy. Obviously, go for the. Well, I can only imagine go for the sort of Chinese vote, perhaps, which obviously could lead to billions of views. Lots of people refreshing that. But it generated a kind of several questions for me. First of all, is anybody really offended by that kind of cheesy pop? We all work in the music business. We have. I'm sure we have artistic integrity in our own way, but one has to.
I'm offended by some of the verse lyrics. It's just, the scanning of it, and I'm offended on that level of pop with it as well. Right. If you're gonna do pop, then do it properly, So that's what I'm saying. Pop music. pop music, you can't just say, "Oh, it's pop," and then just write really, really shoddy lyrics that don't scan very well. So,
I think that's a fair comment. A fair comment, Gaz. A fair comment. I don't know, Rich. You've worked on, I guess, what could be called pop, or certainly popular music.
What?
Once in a while, I've heard. Am I wrong? Do you kind of? How do you feel?
I made a record with Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yeah, of course. Was it an entire album?
No, and it was at least one, maybe two songs. I think it was two songs. There was a sensitive love ballad called "Come to Butthead." I remember that. I'm not joking.
Genius.
This is true, and I have the freaking platinum album over there to prove it.
Wow. Now that is something that is going to have some pop memorabilia.
I don't mean to brag about platinum albums. They're just bowling trophies to me. But the fact is, I got one for Beavis and Butthead.
Nice. Wow, that is impressive. I mean, this leads me to my next question, because obviously, when we all start out, we've got these kind of ideas of how our music is and how it's going to be perceived and all of those things. And for instance, when I was doing Tom's Diner, I thought it was like a really hardcore Bristol sort of sound, like underground thing, and then it was just a massive pop record, and it kind of made me reevaluate my role in life musically. But having said that, I'm not ashamed of it, and I enjoyed working on it. But it got me more of the sort of the idea of have you done stuff? What happens if the thing that you do that you find the least satisfying or the least tasteful or the most unpleasant to work on or the cheesiest is the most successful? Is there any kind of battle that has to be won in the intellect?
Yeah, you're going to haggle over the price of the yacht at the boat dealership.
That's fair enough.
And especially if you catch on with a food-oriented novelty tune. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You can go back through the history of novelty records and look at songs about food. And I've been thinking through this since I watched this video this morning, and there's a bunch of them. And sometimes they really do catch on. And every time you go to do something, as much as you might hate that song, it comes to mind.
Right, it's kind of like branded, I suppose. It's like I see what you mean, Rich. I'm going to have to quiz you on some other food novelty records. You got any for me?
There was a song about onions in the '60s.
Green onions.
Well, there was green onions, but that had no vocal. This thing actually had a vocal. It went onions, onions, la la la, onions, onions, la la la, onions, onions, la la la. Ooh, I like onions. And it was actually also used subsequently in a commercial for a snack product called Onions, where they re-sang the song with the words onions in it. Okay. And that's one example. Sugar Sugar is arguably a food song, but it was the Archies. It is
Cherry
sort of
pie,
in this genre.
Lollipop.
It doesn't actually advocate any particular single brand of food.
It could be anything, couldn't it?
Sort of your anti-diabetic campaign, I suppose. Your pro-diabetes campaign or something. I don't know. But there have been others. There's not a ton of them that weren't related directly to advertising, but there have been some. Cheeseburger in Paradise by Jimmy Buffett not only mentions cheeseburgers and eating them in paradise, but also refers to Heinz 57 sauce, which is a popular product here in the United States that you put on burgers. And
tomato ketchup, I believe, Heinz 57.
And I'm betting that the chat room can come up with more. But in any case, chefs,
you're not wrong.
Chocolate balls.
Sorry. That's true. Hold on, there's that too.
But it's just novelty records in general, and ones specific to food, are of interest to me. And I think this is actually kind of a cute and smart thing to do, and I don't object to it at all.
No, he's a very smart guy. I think my point wasn't really necessarily, oh, look at this, how cheesy it is, let's all laugh at it. It's just the kind of the genius of the almost evil pop genius of the guy. He's almost like Frank Farron, but for fast food.
Oh, perhaps. All that said, I think the record could have been better. I'm serious. It works better for me as an idea and a concept than it does as a record, but it's not a terrible record as those things go.
No, I suppose not. Sorry, that was a brilliant afterthought there, almost, Rich. Fantastic. I know, Dave, you're the one who brought it to mind. Say some more about it.
Well, actually, we found another one. It's by somebody called Nicole Westbrook, and it's called It's Thanksgiving, and that has 14,643,000 views.
Wow.
But only 257,000 thumbs down, which is quite strange. Oh, and only 35,000 thumbs up.
Oh well.
Anyway, same guy.
Okay.
Just another person. Yeah, no, yeah, I have nothing more to say about any of this.
I know. I wonder how much revenue you get from 14 million YouTube views. That's an interesting thought. I think because
5 cents.
No, it's considerable. It would be considerable. I mean, I can just think from ours, it works out at about $6 CPM, something like that. It can do. Maybe
It's got
maybe
that at the beginning of it.
Yeah, something like that. I know, Gaz. You've said all there is to say, I presume. But I mean, but the thing is, what about the idea that when you do work on something that is, you think, oh, this is ghastly and beneath me, and it becomes very successful? Is there a kind of, only has to happen once, I guess, and then you kind of think about when you're working on stuff that you think that way, you recognise perhaps the hit aspect of it more than the kind of, oh my god, that's so cheesy. I mean, I've made lots of cheesy records. I've got some examples.
Well, for me, making money, I suppose, would be quite cool if it enabled me to be able to do cool things, whenever I've done anything commercial, it's always been to fund the uncommercial stuff. So I suppose in that respect, it's, it would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Just make a load of money off something and then be able to pay for something really cool. But I suppose it's about your credibility, though, isn't it? Do you sell your credibility down the line?
That is a different subject, because some people say, and I remember this at the time, having any form of success is seen as a sellout, and it's like, well, hold on, this is what I want to do for a living. If there's no living part to it, then there's no point, is there? I mean, so yeah, that very much when we were coming through, the Bristol kind of crew is like all these kind of very cool people who were, sticking by the roots of whatever it was they were sticking by, and then, I didn't really care. It's like, well, I want to make a living out of it, and that's the kind of way it goes. And I like pop music. I enjoy the kind of the turnover of it and the excitement of it and what have you. Or I have done. I'm probably a bit old for that sort of thing these days, but yeah, I think it's important that you need to make a living, right?
Oh, of
Absolutely,
course,
yeah. I know a guy who's done really well out of the whole J-pop thing, particularly in Korea and stuff, where that's just massive. And for years, he was just coining it in on this whole, super cheesy hit single thing. And I mean, blimey, he ended up building himself an incredibly mega studio out of the rewards from that. So yeah. And anyway, what you think might be really cool, somebody else is going to think is cheesy and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
I do happen to think this is incredibly cheesy and quite ghastly. On the other hand, when you've got kids and you see them kind of get into a kind of cheesy pop song and stuff like that, everything takes on a sort of slightly different meaning, and you stop over-analysing and
I suppose so.
Thinking, oh, that's uncool and whatnot. You just kind of go, oh, okay, yeah, it's pop culture music. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, as Airhead in the chat room saying, in the 50s there were awful pop bands as well. Absolutely, there were. And I know I've contributed my fair share. I think the one I was thinking the one I was probably least proud of. There's a band in the US called Expose, who were kind of one of the early girly kind of 80s pop bands, and when we were signed to Arista, I think it was, one of the conditions, shall we say, was that we produced one of our tracks to be for them. And it didn't work out so well, and we spent like a week in a New York studio with Go Hatoda, who's Madonna's engineer. Brilliant guy, fantastic. We were very inexperienced, and we weren't really used to dealing with a hands-on label like Arista. And I remember we just kept doing we'd send a demo mix. They wanted to hear demo mixes at the end of every day, so we send a demo and they'd sort of make some comments, and then we'd have to tweak it, and then it just went on and on and on. It was like, well, look, why don't you... And then we sort of had enough, and we were just getting in the lift to go. I may have told this story before. We were just getting in the lift to leave, to go and get some supper, because it was just like, oh, this is doing our heads in. And as we were going, the guy who was the A&R guy came into the lift and was going, so I was just thinking that, if you... And in the end, I just said, look, why don't you mix the record? I mean, you know what you want. I don't know what you mean. So why don't you just do it? And I don't think that actually happened, but it seemed like such a good idea. It was like the obvious answer. You know, there's the guy. Here's this guy who really knows what he's doing. We've done all the musical parts. Why don't you do it? But anyway, I thought I was being heroic and kind of, you know, putting one in for the boys and all that, but it didn't work out in the end anyway. But we took their money, you know, so I suppose I can't really complain too much. I did have a video to play, but I'm not going to do that now because it feels
Good story.
because it didn't make it. So next up, eBay auctions. Yeah, there's a few here, aren't there? Wow, this was a good one. This is the the D and Ricky Casio XWG1 keyboard. I think I can probably zoom that in a bit. Oh no, I need to do it like that. Probably. That's had a paint job. D and Ricky, I believe, are the guys who did G-Shock and various other things for Casio. And this thing was, they made two of them, and Casio did a competition where they gave them away on their Facebook page. And obviously the person who got this perhaps wasn't in it for the glory and is now put it on eBay for 20 grand, which is a buy it now price. What happens if I click that? Shall I hit that? What happens?
Do it.
No, I'm not going to review and commit to buy it. Oh, look at that. That was a thrill. That gives me a thrill. I once did live buy something on eBay at your behest, Dave Spears, but it ain't going to be this. Are you tempted?
No, I was shocked. I just kind of did it, you know. I was on my phone late at night and just kind of synthesised at eBay. And I always really quite like just going highest price first, just to kind of see what I can't afford. Because there's a couple of mad mode modules that have been around for a little while. And they're like $16,000, $17,000 drum, much weirdly enough. And I keep waiting for it to come down to a slightly more affordable $299, and then I might jump. But no, and I saw this and was just like, you what? And I kind of had to, I thought it was some kind of practical joke. And then once I found out what it was, I said to Chris, can we have one each? And I put it on my Facebook, and actually somebody said, if you look really closely at the guy who's selling it, his name, his eBay name looks like Greed.
I can get that. Let me see if I can get that. That's Gree4552.
There you go.
I'm wondering whether or not he even he maybe isn't the original recipient of the giveaway, and he's maybe picked it up and thinks it's worth 20 grand. I can't imagine what. I mean, there's no end date on this. I can't imagine why anybody would spend 20 grand. I mean, I have no idea about the world of design. These guys might be massively famous. Maybe Rich, you'll know that because you live over there, and it's an eBay.com auction. Make any sense to you?
What, this Casio thing?
Yeah.
No.
Ah, good.
Anything else?
No, that's fine. Although I have to say, I went back because I made an article out of it and stuck a link to the review of the XWG one, which I did last year, and it sounded quite good actually. I was really expecting it to be, come back at it, but I do remember it being quite complicated to use, and I didn't get to review the Groove Station. I think you can buy it in the UK for about $299 in case you want to save, $12,000 or $13,000 on that. Looks nice though, doesn't it, Gaz?
Yeah, well, it looks good. But I mean, it's interesting, the whole thing with the Casio thing. When it was announced at the NAMM show, I think it was, there was a lot of real kind of happiness that Casio were coming back. Yeah, and there was a lot of goodwill shown towards them. But then I've never seen one out and about at all. I don't know if anybody else has, so I don't know if...
No, they're not really... I mean, they're not really that kind of keyboard. They're more like your home...
home keyboard.
Yeah,
it's somewhere between a home keyboard. Yeah, okay.
The new one, though, the piano is amazing. It's really good.
Right. And you think that could be used as a live keyboard?
Yeah, it's a I can't forget what it's called. I think it's the P1, and it's 88 keys. It's got quite interesting. It's got the same synthesizer engine as the Casio G1, I believe, but 128 voices, massive layering potential, 4 zones, control, aftertouch. It's got a recorder in it. It's got absolutely tons of features. It's quite astonishing, and it's also got now, if I remember correctly, there's something. it's got a way to plug an iPad or something in so that you can connect to it via MIDI. So that's right. So you can basically play like an iPad-based synth and return the audio back into it. It's just it is really quite, and it sounded pretty good. But it hasn't made it yet into the.
Well, but do you think that, like, would musicians, would they turn their noses up at using a Casio keyboard, and that sort of thing? Do you think there is a prejudice against Casio a little bit amongst sort of the more sort of pro players?
Perhaps just because they've been doing a range of keyboards and home keyboards for a long time, but they're really big. I mean, and Rich, I know that Casio pianos are quite well thought of. I mean, and certainly the new Privia. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the exact model of it. It was really well received at NAMM. It just hasn't arrived yet. You use Roland stuff though, right?
On stage, I use Roland stuff. Yes.
Have you tried that Casio? Because do you know?
I haven't played any of these things. I do know that their Previa piano line has been well liked as far as bang for the buck and overall roadability and sound, and guys who gig local more than I do like them because of the weight, the cost, the sound, the overall balance of features in the product seem to work for them.
Yeah,
I can't say I've used this stuff much, by the way.
The new Privia has 88 weighted keys and aftertouch, which is and it's like under $1,000. I think it's like I forget. I'll see if I can find it in a second. Let's see. Was it Casio Privia? Privia. I think it's X1 or P1.
Has it got anything going on with the synthesizer, with the piano engine, other than just simple kind of?
There's a whole bunch of electromechanical stuff. It's got really quite a fully featured XWP1. Let's see. I'm probably just see if I can find it here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I can't see it at the moment. The piano.
What's the question though? It says synthesizer, step sequencer, drawbar, organ, solo synth, hex layer, arpeggiator, and phrase sequencer, controls, and seems like they're making it out to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it certainly does. Mike Martin was Mike did a great demo for us at NAMM, and it did sound pretty good, actually. It's just got a lot of polyphony, and it can be used as a master keyboard as well, quite easily. And there's lots of neat features on it. Anyway, I won't extol the virtue. Certainly, probably worth more than perhaps the G1 with that paint job on it, shall we say? And right, I think it's time for an ad, because as we're talking about such commercial matters, here it comes. Assuming it'll play. I've got to press the button, right? Here we go. Of course, sponsorship of Sonic Talk is very much welcome by Isotope. Isotope, of course, make the RX3 sound restoring suite. RX3 has just come out. It's got a whole bunch of new features. So you've got reverberator, which is great for creative use, as well as reducing the ambience around the sound, which is kind of like magic when you hear it. You can also increase it, which gives you the ability to sort of enhance the space. Very good for dialogue and sort of bringing things into focus, and also creative uses. There's a dialogue denoiser. There's also a whole new load of workflow designs. You've got multiple documents that you can open, tabbed browsing effectively, multiple undo. You can save in RX format, which allows you to then go back and do multiple undos over time, so you can open a file. Really some really clever stuff. Fixes many audio problems, such as you've got declip, declick, and even patch specific audio with the spectral repair. And also it has the spectral analysis and the imaging tools which we've seen in Isotope Iris and other applications. So if you want to check it out, please go and take a look at, if I press the button again, isotope.com/RX. You get a free 10-day trial from that. So thank you very much to Isotope for their continued sponsorship of the show. Very much appreciate it. Right. Oh, yes, this was another one that you sent, Dave, from... This is from... No, let me see if I can find it. This is from a chap called Arius Blaze. Now, if I press the right button, I think it's this one. This is something called an impossible box. And it's a very sort of enigmatic kind of presentation. Nice sepia. This is something that's been actually built. He calls it more of a sort of art installation or a piece of art. Looks like it's based around a sample engine with a bunch of clock modules and granular business going on. All sorts of kind of sample pointers and what have you. Looks fantastic. It was actually on eBay, but it didn't meet the. Unfortunately, it didn't meet the reserve. I think the reserve was something like $1 million. Here it is. So it only reached 39,100. And Dave, you said, I'll take two. What was it that attracted you to it? Because as far as I could tell, that whole piece was just sample cut up and a bit of droning.
Wasn't there?
Sorry?
Wow. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Again, that was another thing that I just posted to eBay, and it came up as the kind of highest one, and I was like, what is this? I don't know anything about this. I was quite intrigued, actually, because I loved some of the actual control surface interfaces, as it were, that looked like little like piano key things, and then other weird touchpad things and stuff like that. All looked fairly Heath Robinson, but I didn't even realise it was a reserve.
It's built by, let me see, by this chap called Arius Blaze. I've got a picture of it here. It's on Folk Tech. Here's some more close-ups. Oh, look, it's going to load. There we are. Yeah, that keyboard doesn't look like it's worth $1 million to me, but yeah, what do I know? Oh, yeah, I haven't looked up at these. These are very interesting. It's almost steampunk, isn't it? Those sort of brass business, all that brassness.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I'm seeing now. I'm seeing that's starting to increase in value. It looks a bit like it might be something off the set of a Doctor Who film.
Yeah.
But yeah, $1 million. Not sure about that. But yeah, interesting fellow, Arius Blaze. He's kind of created this enigmatic persona for himself. Can describe himself as a kind of all-round artist.
They said that the proceeds from the sale was going to his next film, though, didn't it? So I thought that was interesting.
Yes, there's a Kickstart thing actually, which I also found. This is Permeation, a film by Arius Blaze. He raised $15,000, and that closed down only 4 days ago, I think. Yeah, on the 12th. So he raised the money, and that's it. But he seems to be very, very good at talking up his art, which is the sign of what usually happens certainly in Britain when you get these kind of conceptual artists who some may say, I can make a pile of bricks and all of that sort of business. But what they're very, very good at is talking it up, and it seems like he's obviously very good at it as well. But the fact that he can make modular is astonishing. Sorry, Gaz. Yeah.
Well, it looked like when you were scrolling it up, it looked like the name was Arius Blaze. So when you were saying he was good at giving it the talk, I was thinking, wow,
he'd have to.
Yeah.
He's fought his entire life over prejudice over his name. No, that's not right. It's just I'm guessing it's a made-up artist name. But interesting idea. It's not something that happens so much in the States. The kind of conceptual art thing. So that I'm aware of, anyway. Perhaps it doesn't come into focus. Looks kind of fun. So I could see you could probably fit that in. If you raised it into the ceiling, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd like it. It sounded nice.
I think it did, but I think that was just down to the samples that were put in it from what I could tell. But I don't know.
Well, just ruined it all, haven't you?
No, I'm sure I have.
Is that the $1 million reserve?
It's very KLF, isn't it? It's that kind of like, let's make it $1 million, and then everybody go, "What? You must be crazy!" And then all look at it. But I mean, I missed it. Something went past in the chat room. I'll give it props. Whoops. Arius Blaze has got to be the new catchphrase. That's not what I was actually referring to, but that's very good. Show title right there, yeah. I should have taken the 39,000 basically and been happy with it. But
I was amazed because it was like, what was it, something like 50 odd bids and stuff. Because I was looking at it. How come it's got that? Because like I say, I know nothing about any of this folk tech stuff. So
55 bids. Let's see if we recognise any of those people there.
That's amazing.
Oh no, their identities are all hidden.
Yeah.
I imagine the cojones it would take to kind of go, you know what? Okay, 39,000, and that's my maximum bid. I'm going to put it in. And then your wife walks in the room. Nothing, darling. I'm not up to anything. Nothing. That's fine. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think
I know somebody who owned a car that he was told implicitly not to buy by his other half I believe Andy Shillito is in the chat room, and he was the poor bugger who bought this car for somebody else, a musician, and the guy then, and immediately he bought it, he realised that he'd made a terrible mistake and that his wife was going to kill him, or his other half was going to kill him, so they had to reverse the transaction.
Wow.
And it caused immeasurable amount of grief for
I can't imagine. I mean, that's taking tour managing to the nth degree, isn't it? That's life management. That's just something completely different, right?
And I believe this particular guy needs a lot of life management.
The names are protected. Names are hidden to serve the. Oh no, Rich. Do you think you'd have the nerve to drop 39k even if you didn't get the winning bid on an eBay item? I nearly did 20 then. You know, I was one click away.
Depends on what it is.
I suppose so.
Probably not.
No, I suppose.
Certainly nothing that I didn't need.
I think $1 million without a manual and nobody who knows how to fix it apart from the bloke who built it would be a kind of risky prospect, perhaps.
Yeah, that's hey, let's see if I can get anybody to pay this.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, as I said, conceptual art. Gaz, I can see it. There's a space back there that would just have look lovely with a modular in it of some kind, especially that one, perhaps.
Yes, it is the thing that is in the back of my mind, a modular, you know, and building one, starting small. And I think I might have mentioned before, you know, the iPad synth modular is kind of really actually started to get me more interested in it because, you know, and it's for me, it's less about like the oscillators and the LFOs and stuff as much as it is the kind of the multis and just the you know, the very boring things, just because it's kind of, I'm getting a new insight into how you route things around, really. So that I think before I've been a bit scared of them because of that side of it, you know. So that app's actually
interesting idea. So what was the name of that app again? Because I looked.
It's called Modular. It's just called Modular. Is it by? It's by the same people who make a plugin called Rhythm. Pulse Code, are they? Yeah, they think they're called Pulse Code.
Sure, I do have it, but it's not to hand at the moment, I'm afraid.
But but the whole idea of a modular for me has always been like a kind of like it's quite a glamorous thing. When I saw Dave's .com modular, it's amazing. You know, you see them and you just get excited being in the presence of them, you know, let alone actually getting to play with them. So I am being drawn into it. But as I say, that app has actually is actually strangely it's giving you modular.
It's giving you
great
modular
way to learn, though.
Sorry, Dave.
It's a really brilliant way to learn. I think, you know, that looking at that app when Gaz showed it to me, it's like, oh, actually, okay. So if you grasp the concept of this is a source and this is a destination and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's ultimately very unsatisfying because of the fact that you're scrolling around a screen the whole time trying to go, right, I want to put that over there. Then you come down and it's like, that's the only thing I didn't like about it myself.
Sure.
The thing is, with a real modular, all you make it sound like is a helicopter.
Essentially, yeah. Well, anyway, so who is Arius Blaze? I think if I put Anus Blaze as a show title, I might get into a bit of trouble, and I don't want to sort of belittle this guy's work. So I think he's done it very effectively. But who is Arius Blaze might be another show title that's possible.
Do you want to hear one more story? This is slightly related to buying things that are ludicrously expensive, and it relates to the same person who bought the car, and I'm not going to give the name away, but this person bought a helicopter and didn't tell his other half, and we're at a party, and this friend goes up to this person in front of his wife and goes, I hear you bought a helicopter. Oh, God. The guy just started sweating and was going red, and his wife or his other half just went, you did what?
Oh, my Lord.
So, yeah, I put my foot in it again. In fact, somebody said, would you like some more alcohol to wash your foot down with, Spears? There you go.
Oh, I'm getting a bit worried now. That's a great story. But in the chat room, Ed, someone calling themselves Ed, has said, thank you, Nick. I wonder if that means they are, in fact, Arius Blaze. I'm Arius Blaze and so is my wife. That's a good one. I'm Spartacus. Yes. The immortal words of everybody in that film. Fender Rhodes Story, eh? Now, that's a good one. Let's see. I think I've got a video for that. I probably shouldn't play all of it, although I have. This is a promotional activity, so I think I'm entitled to play this. This is Herbie Hancock, Down the Road, the Fender Rhodes Story, which is basically
more and more the
I'll play a little bit.
avant-garde was kind of prodding me. And
Actually, I won't play anymore because that's not displaying the qualities of the. I downloaded this. In fact, it's brilliant. It's basically called Down the Roads. It's the Fender Rhodes Story. Here it is. There's the website. Call it Fender Rhodes Story, which is actually quite difficult to type because it's got two R's next to each other and two S's. So you've got to make sure you put. It's you can buy it as an MP4, which is I recommend. It's only $8.95. I downloaded it yesterday and I've been watching it. It's absolutely brilliant and really well made, and it's got all these kind of brilliant musicians in it talking about the Fender Rhodes. I didn't realise quite how this all started with Harry. Harry, is it Harry Rhodes? I'm sorry, I've completely. I only watched a little bit of it, but the beginning was really interesting. How he started off by making these tiny little pianos. So that returning servicemen would, when they were recuperating, could have a piano at their bedside and play pianos and have something to learn. And it started out like that, and it was just absolutely. The story is fascinating, and it just kind of goes all the way through, and then eventually, to the partnership with Fender, and then when Fender were bought by CBS, and then the engineering brains got on it and started making. It's just absolutely brilliant. But the thing that struck me most was just how influential this one instrument has been. Almost as much as a synthesizer, if not more, because of the transition from the kind of old school 50s jazz into this kind of new fusion sort of area. It's just really, really interesting the way that it's all come together. I know that both probably Rich and Dave have a soft spot for this. I know Dave, because you're a big fan of kind of probably most of the people in this film. I recommend you get it if you haven't already.
No, I didn't realise it was available as an MP4. In fact, I'm going to get that immediately we finish. Brilliant. I'm interested actually to hear the whole story firsthand from Harold Rhodes.
Harold Rhodes, yes, sorry.
Researching a book. And it was amazing. I think some of the tines came from like B-17s and stuff like that, which is just brilliant. But I mean, talk about, an influential piece of kit. I don't have a Rhodes. I've had one in the past which was just battered beyond belief. It's done a lot of mileage, but I kind of want one again now.
Yeah, the sound of it.
I do love the Wurlitz. For me, there was this moment though where the Rhodes got, and I think it was probably the DX7 was responsible for this, that kind of Doogie Howser, super sheeny, glossy. There was also a thing called a Leeds Rhodes, which there were very few made of, and people like Al Jarreau had one, and various other kind of stars of the 80s. And I think Stevie Wonder had one. And again, it was like super hyped. It was more than the Dino My Rhodes thing. And it was too glossy. A real Rhodes has got a real honk when you whack that note hard, as I'm sure Rich will attest. And they're not these beautifully glossy and sheeny instruments, although they can sound like that. But I prefer them when they're a little bit more rough and ready.
What I really liked about it is the suitcase one, where you have that massive cabinet underneath it that just shifted all that air. And one of the points in it that was really interesting is that both Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea were saying is when they're in the Miles Davis band, because he sort of made them play the Rhodes, they said they could finally turn it up and get louder than the drummer, which was fascinating. I know, Rich, I'm guessing you must have to play the Rhodes or play the Rhodes. Do you have a Rhodes at your disposal at much, or do you kind of wish you did?
There's one in the basement, as a matter of fact.
What
73 key stage piano from the 70s that, believe it or not, we were given.
Wow.
Not too long ago.
I really like the look of the silver top one. Is it the Stationary 3s are black? Is it one with the suitcase speaker as well, or is it just the actual...
No, stage piano was the other model that had the legs.
Okay.
And didn't have the speaker. And that was it was called the stage piano.
Right.
And the one with the speaker was called the suitcase piano.
Right.
I guess the theory being that it was somehow more desirable to move that thing.
Yeah, that sort of 800-pound suitcase. Yeah.
I have memories of carrying Fender Rhodes's 150 meters through 2.5 feet of snow at 4 a.m. after gigs.
Oh, wow.
I've been playing Fender Rhodes and known about Fender Rhodes for pretty much as long as there's been a Fender Rhodes. And it took a while. It took a minute, I'd say, to get used to the difference between playing it and playing a piano. But I took to it very quickly, and I really love it and think it's wonderful and one of the most emulated instruments there is. As much as any classical instrument.
It's very interesting, isn't it? There's also another line. There's so many quotes in this. It's a really brilliantly made piece of sort of television, documentary as well. It's very high production values. It's a Hal Leonard production, I believe. You can get it from everywhere else, everywhere you can think of, Barnes and Noble, Amazon.com. But there's a bit where it says, the thing about the original piano, an acoustic piano, is that it's not a solo, it's a solo instrument. It doesn't really kind of lend itself to being part of an orchestra or an ensemble. Whereas the Fender Rhodes, really, you can play sort of all, it's like organs as well. You can play kind of like all the notes all at the same time and it still sounds mellifluous somehow. Gaz?
Yeah, I mean, Fender Rhodes, what can you say? They're just one of the great instruments of all time, and stands shoulder to shoulder with the piano, I suppose. Maybe not quite, but it's really is its own thing, isn't it? What was ostensibly meant to be an electric piano is, well, I guess an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar, it's that sort of difference, isn't it? They really are such distinctly different and beautiful instruments. I was fortunate enough to have a little 54 for a while, and those things are great because you can get them around a lot, and in a way the 54 is really nice because it's that lovely mid area that is just so suited to the Rhodes, just that really nice, especially from an overdubbing point of view when you're looking for a Rhodes, just that real nice funky sort of middle sort of area. I'd love another one of them actually.
I'd like 50. I would like
54. But 54s go for big money, though, don't they? They go for more money quite often than
they're quite rare, I'd imagine. I don't think
bigger ones, yeah. But wow, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful instrument. I mean, what I love about the Fender Rhodes is, like the electric guitar, is with an electric guitar, you're making electricity, and with the Fender Rhodes, you're making electricity, aren't you? So so when you're playing it. I love that idea of electricity leaping from your fingers, like an electric guitar. And it's like that with the Rhodes as well, And I think that's why they're really cool when you put them through effects as well. It's just, it's that combination of generating electricity.
It's amazing when they're talking. I was watching this before the show, and I got up to the point where they were talking about Joe Zawinul, who was kind of one of the early proponents of actually putting guitar effects and wah-wah pedals and things on the Fender Rhodes, and really interesting stuff. Well worth $8.95. Sorry, Rich.
In particular, the Mutron biphase in Joe Zawinul's case.
Right. Lovely. Joe Zawinul, of course, and I'm looking back, that he started off working with various people, and Miles Davis and Cannonball Adderley, and and then Weather Report, which is kind of where I started to listen to what he did, and he's a really incredible keyboard player, very interesting stuff. Him and Wayne Shorter did some fantastic things together. But yeah, there was some chat in the chat room going on about what are the good emulations. And Dave, you were saying that. Did you say Lounge Lizard? Is that AAS?
Yeah, I used the Lounge Lizard.
Is that modelled or sampled? That's modelled, isn't it? They do modelling stuff, don't they?
I mean, to be honest, I kind of got to this phase. It's funny. I thought, I want a piano, I want something, that gives me this kind of feedback, and that's when I ended up getting the Wurlitzer, because there was just this sort of moment where it was like, I don't know, the Rhodes, sometimes the Rhodes sound, as much as I love it, sometimes it's a bit too kind of ubiquitous, isn't it? And I just wanted that kind of real grunt of the whirly, not that sweet.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think that's why I got a Whirly, because I've got an EP200A just there.
And that's what I like about the Lounge Lizard thing. Although Rich was saying about the Scarby thing, and I've heard nothing but good about that, so I'd definitely like to check that out.
That's a contact sample-based instrument, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Have you tried the AAS Lounge Lizard applied acoustic?
Yeah.
Is that sample? Is it samples or
worked with them on it?
Is it samples or modelled?
It's modelled.
Wow, that's impressive.
It's very nice. It really is. It's a great product. And they're nice people.
It's the feel, isn't it, of having something that has all those moving parts in it that is, again, down to the
And
the
it's
physical
funny, you need
presence.
those noises. Sorry, Nick.
No,
You just
carry
need
on.
those noises of those moving parts, the damper pedal noises and stuff like that, because actually adding those, to a kind of computer-based composition really does give you the vibe of something being.
Yeah.
It's a bit like when you record a vocalist and remove all the breath from their voice. It's like all the breathing. It's just like there's something too artificial about it. I need those noises in order for me to make a connection to it.
And all that sort of resonance that you get. I mean, that's the art of making good sample pianos or model pianos is having all that string resonance and these sympathetic overtones and all of that kind of stuff. That's kind of interesting too, I think. The way that all has to be, it's almost psychoacoustics, isn't it? It's the things that you don't notice that perhaps you'd want to clean up that make it more real sounding and more real. But,
right. Whereas when you create a sample library, you have to go for the consistency, because if you make it inconsistent in any way, that's all anybody focuses on.
You do a sample library and the F sharp key is a bit screwy. Sorry.
Right.
On that
can't do
instrument.
that.
I don't know. I quite like the idea of that. You can say, which key do you want broken? Do you know, that's not bad. It gives you a bit more really, because certainly this one over here, there's quite a number of them. In fact, I found a place that I could buy new tines, because if you buy them from the importer, they're really expensive, but you can get them sent over from somewhere in I forget, in the southern states. I forget where it is, and they sent me a few, and you've got to scrape a little bit of solder off them and what have you, and I just didn't get it right, but I would like to. I had this sort of idea that I'd have it at home and it would be a winter project for me to restore my Whirly, but
I used to gig with a Wurlitzer, and that would be some level of hell to me.
Why?
Because I used to break those
fragile.
tines all the time, and I've filed way too many of them to count and tried to resurrect them, and I loved it. And I used to love the way I could make it bark through some guitar amp type stuff, but it's a pain in the ass to maintain.
Yeah, I bought this from a local musician, Andy Davis, actually, who's a member of the Corgis and also Tears for Fears. And Stackridge. And I think he actually played with John Lennon, apparently. That was one of his other claim to fame when he was in a session guy. But yeah, I don't think this has. I don't know what the provenance of this piano is. I should have asked him actually a bit more about it. But I just sort of wanted a mechanical instrument. I don't know why. I hardly ever play it, but it's a nice thing to have.
I think I played it when I was there.
Yeah, you know how messed up it is then.
It doesn't
I
date from
think
the
I must have
Stackridge
played it
days,
if I
though.
was there.
Sorry,
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. It
Does it
doesn't date from the Stackridge days, though, does it?
I have no idea.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
It's
'Cause
pretty
there's some
worn
nice, there's some nice whirly stuff on Stackridge, and some of the Stackridge stuff is amazing. Stackridge, I should mention, like Bristol's contribution to the great prog canon of the 70s, and quite an overlooked band in a way, but if you like that sort of thing, nice.
Yeah.
George Martin produced them on one thing, didn't he?
Oh, really? I
But-
haven't talked to them about that.
Oh yeah. He did what was it? This man with a bowler hat or something. But I mean, Stackridge, they're like Genesis. They're like early Genesis, but they've got a really nice melodic and lovely, really nice. It sort of doesn't have a lot of the things that people don't like in prog. Like there's not a lot of twiddle with Stackridge, but
No
like
solos.
good,
And lots of songs, I'd imagine, because James Warren's one of the songwriters.
fantastic songs. There's some brilliant songs. Yeah, but that would be cool, wouldn't it? If there was any history to that of that whirly to Stackridge.
Well, I hope so. Maybe, what do you think? 20 grand on eBay if I get someone to paint it as well? I might consider.
Two.
Yeah, maybe I could. That's an interesting idea. Curly West Country, yeah, as Phil Muso says, a West Country contribution to prog. Excellent. Curly Whirly was another title in the chat room. I think I might use that. I'm going to type that in the show document. If I can just find it.
Curly
Yeah,
whirlies
brilliant
aren't as big as
description.
they used to be.
Sorry.
Dave.
No. I was just saying, I did hear a really good description of the average Whirly's playing action, which was like corrugated iron, which I did think was actually a really good description because there's loads of them. I think there's more moving parts in a Whirly than a Rhodes. And, sometimes I've sat down behind one and just kind of gone, oh my God, it's just horrible.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I think because it's a shallower, a smaller instrument, I think there's quite a lot of kind of roundabout leverage and kind of counter business. Whereas the Rhodes looked from. In fact, you get to look at the action that that Harold came up with, which he designed when he was just bashing on the end of a fork, and the fork went up in the air, and it's like, oh, there's some great shots of the inner workings of it.
Genius.
But yeah, a great one. I thoroughly recommend going over to FenderRhodesStory.com, and yeah, as I say, the MP4 there, $8.95. You just get a download link and you get it straight away. It's a slow download, but very. Or you can get the Down the Roads DVD for $12 or outside, or you can get the full color book and Blu-ray experience, which I think is about $45. But it's a really good and well-made piece of visual documentary of the subject. I really recommend it. A blaze of curly whirlies. Oh, the titles are coming thick and fast. Now the chat room know that there's a title up for grabs. Look at that. That's a good one. Blaze of curly whirlies. I always like to put fire in the nightmare, some kind of jazz funk nightmare poster frame where there was a bass player with a lot of fire behind him, was very popular and resulted in a lot of views. It's one of my deep joys for making the podcast, is creating the descriptive poster frame where I can. Although it just probably takes me far too long.
You've got to get
Well, laser curly whirlies.
Absolutely. Is there anything else we have time for? The Fender Rhodes Story was good. Steve Vai's home studio for sale, 1.8 million. Seems bloody reasonable, that, actually, for a studio and a place. Yeah, there we go. Rich is in. I think there's a video for that. Let me see if I can find it. I think I found a video. This was on YouTube. Okay. There was a video, but clearly... Go on, then. Ah, there it is. This is, I guess, Steve's dog, Mike. Or Mikey. Little lassie type. This was obviously during the period...
He's selling his dog?
No, I don't think he's selling his dog. This is when it was being made, so quite sad. I guess this was 2009, maybe. I remember seeing this at the time. I think we might...
No, this is his new studio. He's selling his old one.
Hey, Andy.
Are you sure about that? Oh, well, okay, then... But the old studio, which is... hold on, I'm pretty sure... Let me see if I can find it. I've got a picture of it here. There's the Webbery. Steve Vai's Hollywood home and studio. There's the studio down the bottom of the garden, and that's his house. That's his view. Looks pretty amazing.
Wow.
I must say, the interior decoration is very pedestrian for a man who I would consider to be, quite a creative sort of dude. But anyway, that's really neither here nor there. I can't. That's the house. We're looking at the studio, aren't we? About the studio, that's what we want to look at. I'm showing you pictures of of his interior decoration. Open house gallery options. Oh, the studio. That's what I want. Yeah, this looks nice. Looks like It's not clear to me whether or not it's got the API desk and stuff in it or not. But I remember when I was a big Zappa fan when I was a kid. And I remember Steve Vai had an album out called, which was like made on a Lindrum, and it was really amazing. But 1.8 million for a Hollywood home with a studio in it, that sounds really quite reasonable. What's that? That's about 1.1 million quid, which you could buy not all that much in London for that. Rich, you know anything about Steve Vai's? Have you been there?
Have not been there. And don't know Steve, but he did grow up on Long Island, not far from where I did. He's younger than me. And whether it's a good deal or not, I don't know, because I don't know what the house is worth without the studio and what the studio is worth, which is how you would go about buying something like that, is looking at what's the real estate worth without the studio and what does the studio add in value to it.
Yeah,
I don't know the answer to any of that, but it all looks very nice.
To me, it just looked like $1.8 million for a recording studio in the Hollywood Hills with a view like that looks like it's probably a bargain, just in terms of what real estate costs. But I know nothing about these things. I've never been in the Hollywood Hills or to anyone who lives...
You don't know how big the house is. You don't even know if it's 1,200 square feet or 2,500 square feet or 4,500 square feet. You don't know.
That's true. It doesn't look that massive, I must say, but hey. So, Dave, you going to buy it?
Take two.
take two of them. Why not? We're in the mood. We're in a spendy kind of mood. Hold on. If I could just find that buy it now button, I could press the button and have the
$5 million.
have the frisson of nearly buying it. But it's almost. I was almost thinking, wow. I mean, if I had a house that was worth that much, I'd be tempting to make the move. Although I did hear a terrible story. When I was in the local church, I'm not a church-going person. It was my daughter's harvest festival, which is the school is next to the church, and I was watching it. And there was a lady there telling me about some friends of hers who moved to America and started a landscaping business and moved their kids over there. And then every kind of 6 months, they'd go to Canada and get their tourist visas stamped again. And one time they went and they didn't get stamped, and their kids were staying with some friends, and they weren't allowed back in the country. So there you go. But that seemed like, I was thinking, how could you be so goddamn irresponsible? But anyway, that's a completely separate story. Gaz, I can see you working in there. I can see that being your studio.
Oh, yes, please. I mean, but surely, I mean, Steve Vai is such a legend. He's in the top 10 greatest American guitarists of all time, isn't he? So, I mean, that's going to give quite a lot of value, surely, like a Hard Rock Cafe sort of.
You think the
type
provenance?
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was. That's why I thought it was so cheap, really.
Yeah, strange. Hey, yeah.
There is actually a track that accompanies the sale, and it's a sort of fairly standard blues thing, but there's some great stuff. It really does. Dave, it's all right, Dave. Don't worry, it's going to be over soon. There's some. Hold on. He does some amazing playing at the end, which sort of demonstrates his more pyrotechnic kind of skill. So if you get a chance, go listen to that. It's called SteveVaiHome.com. Which, if you're going for a URL,
that's a Hendrix jam he was playing right there.
Ah, okay.
You can find that in the Woodstock soundtrack. That piece.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Shame Jem's not here, because he was working with Steve Vai, wasn't he? He might have even been there.
Wow. Yeah, it is.
He's done it.
He's busy. Where's he gone? Dave's frozen.
What was that one that was hip at the beginning?
Sorry?
Surfing the Alien or something. That's the only album I've ever heard of his.
That's Satriani, Joe Satriani.
Oh, there you go.
Guitar faux pas. Oh my God. Don't you know your...
No,
Shredders.
Warfare.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Gotta keep those shredders in line.
Blimey, that's ghastly.
Yes.
You know how many letters of complaint I'm likely to get if that goes out?
Oh,
Best
just send
Steve
them
Vai-
to me.
Best Steve Vai album is the one when he plays on Dave Lee Roth, Eat 'em and Smile. That's with that Billy Sheehan on the bass. That's a really cool album. I think it still sounds great today. That one, yeah, Eat 'em and Smile.
Right. Okay.
You worked with Dave Lee Roth, didn't you, Rich? I believe.
Yeah, I did.
Wow, Dave Lee Roth. Wow, he's a hero. He's brilliant.
But not with Steve.
Well, if you have a spare 1.8 million, you can go over there and buy. In fact, I think there is a link to. Let me see. Open House. There's Open House. I think there's bizarrely there's like a picture of the. Hold on. Let me see. There's a picture. You can just kind of contact the estate agent, and and that's it. Where is it? I'm looking for the. I can't contact. Here we go. There you go. There's a picture of. There's your friendly estate agent. She will sell it to you. She's called Jane, and she'll take your $1.8 million. And
it's the rock chick real estate agent.
The rock chick, yeah.
Did you check that picture out? It's definitely coming from rock chick thing.
I think there is. She looks quite familiar. She looks a little bit like one of those Hollywood stars.
She's lovely.
Yeah,
absolutely lovely. Don't get me wrong, but it's the funny thing about it. And Jane, please take no offense. I mean nothing badly, but. It's rock chick real estate.
If anyone
girl.
was going to sell Steve Vai's house, it should be her, shouldn't it? So
right.
It has a beautiful symmetry to it. Right, I think that's it for now. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody because it's gone very smoothly, and I haven't spoken about the technology much this week, so I'm guessing we must be at parity, and it's all great. So I want to say thank you very much to everybody for joining us, and also, of course, to Isotope for their sponsorship of the show. Don't forget, isotope.com/RX3. If you want to go and check it out, you get a 10-day free demo. I mean, what more can you ask? 10 days of free RX. Wow, impossible to pass up. So I want to say thank you very much, Rich Hilton over there in sunny Connecticut. As I said, a fast car waiting to take him to wax a hottie Or I'd probably take you to an airport to play some disco gigs, right?
Actually, it's the hybrid car in the garage waiting to take me to the studio. Yeah.
Ah, okay. With the recording studio in the boot. So you can hum your tunes on the way in. Let me
Yeah,
have my little fantasy.
Yeah, this is the recording studio in the boot. It's right here. It's a Zoom H4n.
Oh, I can top that. Hey, look what I got. I've got an H6 here.
Oh, yours is bigger.
So I've been told. This is quite good, actually. You got four combi inputs, apart from the fact you got an enormous amount of wireage stuck in it.
And apparently you can take 6 inputs at the same time, including the built-in mics. Is that right?
Yeah, well, there's this thing that sticks on the top that you can put mics and what are they called?
An XLR kind of.
So you get 6 XLRs into it. It's not as snappy to use, as far as I could tell so far, anyway, as the H4n. The menu structure is different, and it's got an AMOLED display, which is a bit more sluggish. So anyway, but yes,
More sluggish than this thing?
yeah.
'Cause this thing is a little bit of a lollygagger to me. I don't love that menu structure, and I wouldn't fight to defend it. So
What's that?
Yeah.
I think it's a great piece of
Nice.
kit, I must say. A to Z of
Yeah,
analog
cool, it
synths,
is.
Peter Forrest, fabulous thing. Anyway, Rich, thank you very much
I was
for
just
joining us.
looking.
pleasure.
And Gaz Williams over there in Bristol, thank you very much for joining us too. Very much appreciated. And we'll speak. CME.
CME, just I mentioned it before, but when you play with one of these things with Omnisphere, Omnisphere's got great polyphonic aftertouch support, but when you play with Omnisphere with it's a really, so far that's the best application of the
Okay, cool.
XME polyphonic aftertouch keyboard with it's great. It's really good. Highly recommended.
Excellent. Top tip there. And Dave Spears over there, G4 Software, who's thumbing Peter Forrest's excellent A to Z of analog synth. Is that A to M or M to Z?
I don't know. I'm looking at, and there doesn't seem to be any mention of it in this book. So that's
Of what?
why
Sorry.
I was of a guitarist. So that's obviously why I don't know anything about guitars, because there's nothing about guitars in this
V
book
for
at all.
Vi.
Yeah, you can see how well thumbed this is. Yeah. No,
Oh man, I tell you what, I'm so. We used to sell those when we had a web store, and I don't know. I used to have both copies, and now I've only got one, and then he's out of print, so I need to get the other one back. It's like the Bible.
Classic.
Haven't you got?
Classic.
I can't
Bible
remember
of
which
synth.
one I haven't got. It's either A to M or M to Z. I forget now. Forget which one it is.
Let me know. Let me know.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
May have one.
May have. Well, okay. Anyway, that was Sonic
I haven't
Talk.
got any, Dave. I haven't got any.
I haven't got loads.
Well, I think I've got a few still, but they're not the ones I need. If you see what I mean? Because obviously, otherwise I'd have them. Anyway, this is rapidly turning into a sort of spiral of of not ending the show. So I want to say thank you very much anyway to everybody, including the chat room. You know who you are. Thank you for joining us. David's comedian by night. Says Synth Beast. Anyway, and that's it for this week. I want to say that's it. I'm going to fade to black now, and that was Sonic Talk number 334.